I'm not really deep frying them, but I'm frying them in a fair bit of oil. I stripped down and refinished that pan. It wasn't in really bad shape to begin with, but the old oil and seasoning on it had gone sticky. So I stripped it off and re-seasoned it. Turned out pretty good. But I haven't used it for anything at all. I haven't fried any potatoes in it or nothing like that, like I usually do to break them in. So I'm going to be pretty generous with the oil in that. And you usually are with a chicken fryer anyway. So I'm going to say hi to everybody quick. The oil's warming up a little bit, and we'll get over there and get the chicken underway. Cynthia Wesley's here, and she wants me to send that horrid pan to her. And, maybe someday I will when, it turns on me and I have to get rid of it. Ronald Coward, good to see you. Fran Perez, howdy, howdy. Tessa Reed, Gray Litton, Raymond, Sheila Pearson. How many grilled cheese sandwiches could you make in that? Well, it depends on how big your bread is. You could probably do 3 or 4 of them in there pretty easily. It's 11 inches across. I measured it the other day. Somebody had asked on the last stream how big it is. Pat Z, Chris Alverson, I said hi to. Fuzz Fork, good to see you. Billy Lee, Cast Iron Restore is in here somewhere. I just zipped by him scrolling through here quick. Jim, 44, nice to see you. Handsome Stone. Huey Lewis, front and center. You betcha. It is hip to be square. Square chickens. Tried to find a picture of square chicken. Nothing really terribly good. But, spatchcock chicken. Yeah, they kind of look squarish when you split them down the back. I got a couple of big chicken breasts I'm going to make. And hopefully they'll be done in a reasonable time. And we'll see how this goes. Let's see. I think I said hi. Mercy B, Dan, Cast Iron Chaos. Good to see you. Nice lid. No, that's a Wagner ware. Actually, it's not a Lodge. It's a Wag from the 30s. They made those. They also made a square skillet like that. It's a different number and it's shallower, but this is a square chicken fryer. It's kind of hard to see from the side, but it's a good bit deeper than a normal skillet. It's not quite as deep as a lot of chicken fryers, but it's pretty deep. How many Griswolds do I have? I've never really counted, but I got a fair number. Maybe a dozen or so different Griswold stuff, different things. Anyhow, I'm going to wander on over there. Hopefully you'll still be able to hear me fairly good. I'll try to remember to speak up for the mic instead of talking to the camera. Check and see how hot my oil has got. And we'll take it from there. I've had this on kind of medium low for a few minutes, getting her warmed up. We're getting there. It's up over 200. So I will crank this up a bit. I want the oil about 350, 400 degrees in there. 375 usually is what I deep fry things at. Now when I make chicken, I like to just beat up a couple of eggs. See if you can see me here. Where's a good spot in the camera? There's pretty good there. I usually beat up a couple of eggs, get them cracked. And rather than rolling it in flour, dipping it in the egg, and then rolling it in flour again, I usually just go with dipping it in egg and then rolling it in cornstarch instead of flour. It gives you a really nice, crispy, flaky coating. Get in there, you. Toss that in the sink. I use seasoned cornstarch. I got a bunch of black pepper crushed up there good. Give that in there. That's maybe a tablespoon. And we'll give her a good application of salt. Probably should have just dumped some out, but that should be enough salt for now. Stir that around, mix that pepper in good. You can add other seasonings to this if you want. But yeah, I prefer just the cornstarch. That, and it lets you reuse your oil a lot easier. After a while using flour, your oil tends to foam up, and it doesn't do that with cornstarch. You can just strain your oil good, and it doesn't get foamy on you in your deep fryer, which isn't a good thing. Now I'll beat up a couple of eggs. 2 eggs is usually enough. You can do quite a bit of chicken with just 2 beaten eggs. I'm going to take my glasses off. Maybe I'll be able to see the comments a little better. Get this stuff out of the way. Let's see, set him over there. And put my glasses down. I hid my chicken in the oven to keep the cat away from it. Like I said, these are a couple of pretty good sized chicken breasts, so they should hopefully get done soon enough. Check my oil here. We're about 300, so doing pretty good. The light over here isn't nearly as bright as it looks on screen. I can never get, there's no adjustment for the white balance, and you are going to get yourself locked in the bathroom if you go messing with me, cat. There's no adjustment for the white balance on that little camera, and it really wants to blow the light out. So it's actually kind of dark where I'm at, but it looks pretty light, which is okay, I guess. Just about up to temperature on the oil. Yep, just about there. So I can back that down a little bit, back my heat down a little more medium, and come out of the way. We'll get this chicken underway. They just barely fit in the little dish I got here for my egg, but get it coated with the beaten egg and into the nice seasoned cornstarch. Cat, you are going to get yourself in trouble. I can't throw you down because I'm using my hands for food right now. But go ahead and see how that oil's doing. Stick your nose right in there. And in we go with this. Hopefully that isn't too much oil. Shouldn't be. There we go. Got that coated good. Shake that a little bit to level it out. Now, if anybody's going to say anything, you should be using the dry hand, wet hand method on this. Yeah, you probably should, but I need both hands for these things. Get that guy in there. And I'm going to rinse my hands off. Grab this silly cat and lock her in the bathroom. Yeah, you got exiled. How you like that? There, incarcerated cat. So what's the cat's name? The cat is named Minnie. And that's cooled the oil off a little bit, so I'll turn my heat back up. Doing it like this, it does take a little bit of monkeying with your heat to keep the oil as hot as it should be. But you can see as it fries along, you need to add a little bit more heat to bring it back up good. And then help that out. Bring the heat back up, and then you have to back it back down a little bit because you don't want your oil to get too hot and start smoking and catch fire on you. But I think we're doing pretty good. I'll ease that down just a little bit. I'll go back over here by the computer and the microphone and see if I can catch up on my comments. Well, that's frying away. Let's see, back up here. Being a chicken fried fanatic, gotta get here. Let's see. Yeah, there's no size number at all on it, actually. There's no number on the handle. And on the back, I probably should have showed you this beforehand. On the back, there's the Wagner logo, the stylized logo, and it says Square Chicken Fryer, and it has a catalog number 1400, but there's no size number on it. Let's see here. I call the cops on beating eggs, whipping cream, doing all kinds of mean, evil, nasty stuff in the kitchen. Never use straight cornstarch. You always mix it with some flour. Yeah, I really like it. It gives a real nice, crispy, flaky coating to it. It's a lot lighter than a batter coating, and it works out really good. You'll see here once we get it fried up good. But I'll let these go for a few more minutes and flip them over. I'll probably cover them a bit. I don't usually cover things when I'm deep frying, but it'll be nice to get a little bit of oil spray on the inside of the lid, because like I said, I've seasoned this, but I haven't broken it in at all. I haven't used it for anything at all. That's just seasoning right out of the oven. I think in all your 70 years, you've never fried chicken, eaten plenty of it though. There's a million ways of doing it, but I like it pan fried. Usually if I pan fry it, it's technically shallow frying, but I use a fair bit of oil or drop it in a deep fryer. Those are dinosaur chicken breast. Yeah, I kind of forgot how big they were. I've had them for a little while in the freezer, and looks like half a turkey almost. Is that a Wagner? Yes, it is. Did any other companies make a square skillet? Pretty much everybody did. Griswold, Lodge, BSR. Most of the Wagner square skillets you'll see have kind of rounded sides to them. They're square, but the sides bow out a little bit. And most of the Lodge and BSR ones have real straight square sides like that. But Wagner did in the 30s make a square skillet and a square chicken fryer like that had lids for them that were straight sided. Every time he shows up, he call him Cat. Yeah, well, she doesn't call me by my name either, so I guess we're about even. Yeah, looking good so far. Yeah, it's doing pretty good. You can almost smell it. Yeah, it smells good in here already. Robin. See, you got your wrench, Robin. You were complaining the other day that your wrench had disappeared, and here you are, and there's your wrench. So I don't want to hear any more complaining out of you. JIR Finishes, good to see you. Is there an advantage of square over round? A lot of people really like the square skillets. I do too, because it's easier to get a spatula under something when you're cooking than it is with a regular round skillet. So they're nice for making omelets and fried eggs because you can get your spatula in there a lot easier. Really, kind of surprised they didn't take off more than they did. Food prep is a key. At least you read posts from Karens who talk about disgusting things like chicken gizzards. You'd never make it around here if you're put off by chicken gizzards. I just love the things. Pretty much everybody I know loves them. You can get packs of chicken gizzards and hearts. Hearts are great. And yeah, I see them in a lot of bars too, fried gizzards. I think I'm just about caught up with comments here. Used to fight your siblings over the gizzard. Yeah, like I say, I love gizzards. Local auction here in Indiana Saturday with over 200 pieces. Yeah, that sounds good. The auction where I got this, she didn't count them exactly, but there must have been a good 250, 300 different pieces there. She had a lot of stuff. You make a mean chicken liver pate. Well, you're welcome to it. I can't stand liver in any form. It just, no, I can't do it. But anyhow, I think it's about time I could flip them over, get the top side fried up a little bit. But like I say, those are pretty big, so they're going to take a bit to get done. Me amble on over there. Yeah, it's looking really nice. I'm going to turn my heat, dripping on my stove. I'm going to turn my heat up just a little bit. I want it frying a little harder than that. And I'm going to grab my plate to take them out on when they're ready. Well, maybe you don't need that big white thing on there just yet. That's why I have those two hot pads sitting over on the corner there to kind of cut the glare. Put lots of brandy and nutmeg in your pate. Well, might be able to do that then. Might need a Mudbrooker demo on gizzard frying. Maybe one of these days I'll have to do that. Oh, here's Cynthia. The square skillet I transplanted the handle onto makes mean burgers. That's pretty good. I'm going to do some more welding videos this summer. Not exactly soon, but I do have a video I'm going to make when I'm off for the weekend next. It won't be this coming weekend, but the weekend following. I've been doing a little cooking experiment that's turned out really well, and I'm really happy with it. And I'll show you that, and I think you really like it. So be watching for that over the next couple of 3 weeks. One of the rare few times you can mention the size of breasts and not get clobbered. Yeah, I mean, I could be going on and on about the enormous breasts that I'm making, but I'll try and restrain myself. Yeah, the white is kind of washed out on that a little bit, but yeah, browned up really good on the bottom so far. Maybe if I turn one light off on that soft light, see if that helps a little bit. If I turn the light off completely, it's really too dark, but see if that eases it up a little bit. Well, didn't make a huge difference. Fried liver and onions? Absolutely not. I don't like onions either. But you're welcome to. I mean, me not eating liver and onions leaves more for the rest of you to fight over. Let's see, back up a little here. I missed something about bales. Cynthia's been engaging in criminality again, trying to get bail. But yeah, you can get heavier wire that's pretty similar to the wire they used on bales. It's number 9 wire, and usually number 9 steel wire is stiff enough. It's not so much the diameter of the wire as it is what it's made of and how hard it is. I mean, a real hard, stiff wire works pretty good, where the softer wire bends up a lot easier, but it bends up a lot easier. Yeah, I could throw that lid on there pretty soon. Just want to let that bottom side brown up a bit, and we'll get that lid on there. And that'll get a little bit of heat, get a little bit of heat, a little bit of oil on the underside, and that'll do it some good. Don't like onions? No, I like garlic. I like shallots. Shallots are kind of halfway between onions and garlic, but they're closer to garlic. And I like green onions on a few things, but other than that, no, I just don't care for onions. I don't much care for green peppers either. I used to love them when I was a kid, but since then I just don't care for them, which is kind of odd. Usually, you don't like things when you're a kid and you grow into them later, and I grew out of them. But yeah, I'm going to throw that lid on there, get that working a little bit. Like I say, I don't generally cover things when I'm deep frying them, but I do want to get that lid broke in a little bit. Robin tries to put onions and green peppers in everything. You just got to, don't you? I tell you, Robin, you're doing your best to make sure I never show up to your house for supper. I do like onions and pickled things. I mean, if you pickle stuff, you pretty much got to put at least some onion in there, otherwise it just doesn't taste right. But for the most part, yeah, I just don't like them. Fried some garlic scapes the other day. Oh, that sounds good. Not crazy about green bell peppers, always sub poblanos in recipes. Yeah, I don't know what it is. I mean, I used to love them, but I just don't like them anymore. Well, with the heat trapped in there, it sounds like she's frying a little more intensely too. Might have to back that off a little bit. What's up, everybody? Hi, Mud. What are you cooking in that jam? Oddly enough, chicken in a chicken fryer. Price range on that fryer, I paid $375 for it. They're pretty scarce. You very seldom see them. Even searching around on the internet, I could only found a couple of them, and they wanted closer to 500 for them. So, if you do come across one, if you can get it for under four, you're probably doing pretty good. But I was willing to pay a fair bit more for that because, like I said, it's not something you're going to see very often. So if I couldn't get it, I was going to make sure that somebody didn't get it dirt cheap. I shudder to think about a world without onions. Well, you can have all the onions you want. I still say it's a steal. Yeah, it wasn't too bad of a price. I mean, it was the majority of the budget that I had set aside for the auction. There's a few other things I was hoping to get that I had to pass up on because by then I was running out of money. So, but that's how things work sometimes. You can't afford everything. Yeah, lid's getting good and warm. I'll show you how I normally treat my lids when I use a lid cooking. Howdy, Mud. Where on earth did I find a square chicken? You got to raise them yourself. I mean, they're tough to come by, but if you keep them in a small box when they're a chick, and don't let the box get too big. Keep them crammed in there. You'll end up with square chickens eventually. That's what you paid for yours too. Yeah, like I said, if you can find one and if you can find it for under 400, you're doing pretty good. But they're kind of a unicorn. If you come across them, you really got to think hard if you're willing to pay that much or pass it up because it's going to be a while before you see another one. Had you been able, you would have ran it to at least 450 and lived in a shelter for a couple of months. Yeah, it was getting to that point. Be a rich man if I had square eggs. I might have to work on them too. I have to get chickens again. I used to have chickens years ago, and they weren't so much free range as they were outright feral. On my way, mosquito. I was bidding on a number four favorite Pequa skillet yesterday. Went for $375 as well. Surprised but not surprised. Yeah, the I saw on the Goodwill site there was, I think it was a Lodge, either a Lodge or a BSR number four that went for a little over 400. I think it was like 425. I have it saved, and maybe I'll take a look at some of them. Take a look at some of them next week. Chive talking. Love all bell peppers and onions heated in cast iron and then loaded with onion or beef. A large flour tortilla browned with cheddar on a cast iron flat skillet. That sounds like a pretty good way of doing it. I missed, but if you gave a date, would it be from the 40s or 30s? The 30s, I think, is when those were. I have to double check, but I'm pretty sure they were 30s. Oh, and somebody asked me on my Yahoo email about Wagner 5-star skillets and the 1403, 1401 double skillets. Which ones came first? I think the a lot of the double skillets say patent pending on them, or they have patent numbers. I think the 5-stars came a little bit later, but they're both pretty much generally from the same time period. But I think I gotta double check the number here quick. Uh, I think the 1401s came first and then the 5-stars. They're a little bit different, but like I said, I'm not exactly positive. I mean, I probably should have looked it up before the show, but I was busy with other things. I'm going to flip, yeah, Rob, I'm going to flip the chicken. Now, when I use a lid, when I'm frying or cooking in general, I'll let the water run off of it, and then I'll set it down upside down like that while it's still hot, and just let the water evaporate off of it. But I'll leave the oil on there, and once the water is drying off of it, I'll wipe it with. Let me get over here. I'll flip it upside down and let the water just dry on its own from the hot iron, and then any oil that's left on there, I'll wipe it around with a paper towel. And that seems to help a lot because the insides of lids, you actually do want a little more of a buildup than you normally would on a skillet, because they get a lot more moisture than than skillets do. Skillets usually get a lot hotter, and you have less problem with moisture on the metal. But something like this, you're going to have condensation dripping back in, so you really want to let them dry out good while they're hot, and leave a little bit of extra oil on there. Get caught back up here. Rocket's going to bed. Night, Rocket. We'll see you next time. Why is steam coming from that one corner with the lid on? That's probably the highest point. My stove doesn't sit quite level, so that's probably the highest point inside on the skillet. Yeah, some good old cornbread would be great with that. Probably would be. The 20-inch skillet you'd never use takes all 5 burners on your stove, plus you can't pick it up. Yeah, that's going to be a pretty good chunk of iron. I mean, I've got a 15-inch Lodge. It's a newer one. I got it in the early 90s, right when they were changing over from selling it bare iron to when right before they started pre-seasoning them. And that's pretty heavy piece of iron. What kind of oil am I cooking with? That's just vegetable oil. I'll let that go for a couple more minutes, and I'll check the temperature on the inside. It's a little bit harder in a pan like that. When you're deep frying chicken, you can tell it's done because it starts to float, and you let it float for a couple of minutes. But with this, there's not enough oil to really float it. What's the side dish for the chicken? I don't know. Kind of depends on whatever I got in the fridge, because I didn't prepare anything. I was more worried about getting the camera set up where you can see everything, and getting the chicken going. I thought maybe it had a vent hole. No, it's just an uneven stove. For some reason, I have a sudden craving for fried chicken. How deep is the fryer? I haven't actually measured it. It's definitely deeper than a skillet, but it doesn't seem to be quite as deep as most chicken fryers. I'd have to grab a chicken fryer quick and set it next to it and see just for a comparison. Use your 15-inch skillet right on top of the gas burners on the propane grill. Also move the food, not the pan. You have the 1403 5-star, and the 02 is bigger and has a patent, so I'd imagine it came first by the lower part number. It could be. They're both pretty much the same time. But like I said, I think the 1401, 1402s were a little bit earlier than the 5-stars. You don't have a square-shaped cast iron. They're neat. I mean, this, vintage mom, I haven't seen you around before. It's nice to see you if you're new, and even if you're not new, it's nice to see you anyway. This is a square chicken fryer. They're kind of a rare and unusual item, but there's quite a few really affordable square skillets out there if you just want a skillet. So you can find them pretty reasonable for a basic square skillet. Sometimes you do a big deal of chicken just to wind up making a chicken sandwich. Yeah. Made fried chicken in your grandmother's lodge, hammered 4-in-1. Cool. But I'll go check the temperature on that, see if it's done. I still got a ways to go, actually. I think what I'll do is, it's still warm. I'll cover that back up so it cooks a bit faster. Like I said, that's a pretty good sized chunks of chicken. So we should have them done by the end of the show, though. Let's see here. Just bought 2 packs of Sandhills peaches. Anyone have a cast iron ice cream maker? No, but I do have an ice cream maker. I made some homemade ice cream with it, and you can find them pretty inexpensively. Used in Goodwills, things like that, and they're a nice thing to have. Kind of fun making ice cream. I wouldn't want to sit there cranking it by hand all day, but was just going to recommend the lid again. Yeah, I figured it's probably time for the lid so she cooks a little bit faster. Yeah, pterodactyl breasts take a while longer. They do. Probably would have been smarter to make a batch of drumsticks and get them done quicker, but well, we'll break her in good, get her a good long period of usage. That skillet you would have bought too is just plumb beautiful. Yeah, it is. It's a really nice skillet. I love that lid. I mean, that's a really cool design on the lid. Now this time it's going to steam out of the other side. Well, wherever the steam goes, I guess. Cranking it, that's why you have kids. Electric ice cream makers and remote controls are why the birth rate's lower nowadays. Pretty much, yeah. Get up and change the channel for me, boy. Hostile Hooves don't like the sound of that. Team Mini Mud Kitty. Yeah, she was trying to fry herself, so she got exiled to the bathroom for a while. You have 2, one that's a hand crank in my 30s and another one that's electric in the last year or 2. Yeah, they're fun. I mean, I'm gonna have to make some more ice cream this summer. I made some blueberry ice cream last year. Really turned out nice. I never did perfect making the waffle cones. Sometimes they'll turn out, and sometimes they just don't. I don't know what I'm doing that isn't quite working. But anyway, thank you much for the $2 hubs. It's always good to see you, and $2 goes a long way to buying cast iron. Wagner makes some cool stuff. Yeah, they do. I mean, I got probably a good bit more Wagner than I do Griswold. Not really looking for Wagner specifically usually, but just kind of worked out that way. Same way I have more number nines than most other skillets. It's just how they worked out. That reminds me of things that I got. I cleaned up one of those gate mark skillets and one of the waffle iron bases. I'll show you them quick. How they turned out. Cleaned up that old waffle iron base. That is a an early Griswold Erie waffle iron. It's for the button style hinge, and I kind of thought it was, but I think it was Dan maybe sent some pictures of the ones, posted them on the Facebook group of the waffle iron he has like that. And yeah, it's definitely an early Erie Griswold. And I got the bigger of the two gate mark skillets done. That's got the fancy handled number 9. And there's the back of it. Nice gate mark on it and the letter P down there. So that's how they turned out. Turned out pretty good. I won't be using the waffle iron base anytime really soon because I don't have a waffle iron for it, but it's nice to have. I've seen a couple of the button hinge Griswold waffle irons without a base. So if I ever get one, it'll definitely be nice to have. Set that there. Ooh. May have gone a little too long on that one. Don't want to do that. Let's check my temperature. Gonna have to keep a little closer eye on these, I guess. See if I can break that little bit off. Oh. Gotta pay attention. Well, that ain't gonna hurt too much. Yeah, the waffle iron base turned out really good, and sold that gate mark skillet. Happy to have both of them. I was going through the Jam It Up June, thanks to some of the canning explanations. Missed why you don't tilt that little pool of water off the top. You shouldn't do that because the lid isn't sealed yet, and you can get liquid or whatever up under the lid and make it so it doesn't seal. And even if it does seal, having food up under the rim like that, it can wick in bacteria. It gives the bacteria a path into your whatever you're canning. And I have a hell of a time not doing that because I really want to dump that little bit of water off the top of the jar. But yeah, you want to definitely try not to tilt your jars when you're taking them out of the canner. 90 plus degree days have been great for stripping iron here, but forget baking it. Yeah, you're not going to want to heat up your house too much if you can help it. When will I get my new lathe up and running, and what size do you need to fashion new handles for waffle irons? It's probably going to be a while before I can get around to setting up the lathe and getting it all up and going. Uh, you don't need a very big one for handles for waffle irons. I mean, this is a big old one. It's got to be a good 36 inches between centers. And if you want to make handles for a waffle iron, you can really use a little tabletop one, something 12 inches, because the handles are usually only about 6 or 7 inches long. So you don't need a huge lathe to turn something quite that small. Yeah, I'm forever. It's all I can do to stop myself from pouring that water off the top of the jar because I know better, but it still bugs me. But it evaporates pretty quick usually. And yeah, you don't want to do it because it'll get food up under the lid and give bacteria a path to get in. I better check on them again before they get burned on the other side. Let's see if I can put these on. Let's see if they'll stand up on edge for me. That way with it. Okay. We're getting fairly close to done, so you've always dumped it. Yeah, like I said, I mean it's damn near impossible not to just dump that water off there because this bugs me to no end. Woodworking tools and machinery, the other kind of old cast iron. Yeah, there's a lot of really interesting tools and machines and things like that. You can really get into something like that too. Who made my lathe? It's an old Craftsman lathe. It's an old Sears one. Like to get a nice coating and finish it in the oven. Yeah, you can definitely do that too, especially if you use a little bit less oil. I'm like I said, I'm more or less deep frying it, not quite shallow frying it. Have two waffle irons that they could use newer wood, and the quote you got to make a replica is almost the cost of at least a used lathe. Yeah, it sounds a bit much, but you know, if the guy's good at it, he ain't going to give his time away. But it seems a bit ridiculous for two little handles that aren't really all that complicated. Fixing to get your 10 quarts of taters out and hope they all sealed. Work till after 4 on them. Yeah, they should. Hopefully they'll seal for you. I usually don't have problems with jars sealing, but I had a bad run of pint jars or half pint jars. I forget which. And the damn things, they wanted to crack around the bottom and blow the bottom of them out. And I didn't do anything that would have stressed heat stressed them or anything like that. It must have just been a bad run right from the factory because they were newer jars that I had bought, and yeah, I had a lot of problems with jars breaking for a while. I think I got them all weeded out finally, and the survivors are holding in there. I just got a 1908 Griswold waffle iron with a low base for $60. Can't wait to cook on it. That's a hell of a deal. I mean, they usually you're looking around 150 for those. Let me check these guys. Do I use a trivet? No, they're just sitting right in there. We're within a couple of degrees of done. So, let me get these out of the way. Turn my oil off. Let these guys drip and drain for a minute or two. There we go. And we'll let that sit for a couple of minutes and rest. And we'll give her a try. Chicken should be cooked to internal temperature of oh, you mean a trivet when you're canning? Yeah, you definitely got to use a rack or a trivet or something in the bottom of the canner to keep the jars up off the bottom. I thought you meant if I was using a trivet in the chicken fryer. Yeah, you had that issue with quart jars and applesauce. Yeah, it must have been a defect right from the factory. Yeah, and had jars bad seals. Use the same size jars, same stuff in them, and they didn't seal. Yeah, once in a while you get one that just won't seal. There's no real rhyme or reason to it sometimes, and you got to inspect the rims of your jars really good. Make sure they're not chipped or anything. Do you cold pack or pressure can? Depends on what you're doing. Like meats and most vegetables, you need to pressure can because they don't have enough acid in them to make it shelf stable water bath canning it. So I do both. Like I said, it depends on what you're canning. Most of your fruits you can water bath can. Most of your vegetables and all of your meats, fishes, poultry, those you definitely have to pressure can. I can see that pan never leaving the stove. That's definitely, I think I'll definitely use that a bit, get her broke in really good at the very least. Canned spaghetti sauce for years, never had an issue. Yeah, like I said, I usually never have a problem with them sealing, but just that bit of a problem having jars break on me. But let that sit for another couple of minutes, and I'll go grab her and give her a try. Give you a little closer look here, see how it turned out. Turned out really good. That browned up really nice. Browned up a little too much on the one spot, but turned out really good. At least as far as the cooking on it goes. And with, now I can get a hold of it, break it off. With the cornstarch, you get a nice, really nice crispy coating on it. Let me see here. You're gonna need a little, well, you need a big plate for those. Probably need a carving knife to get into the damn things. That out of the way. Oh, before I forget, wipe down the inside of my pan. What's in there now, it's still fairly warm, but that's oil in there, but the water is all evaporated off. And I'll just wipe down that, wipe the oil around in there a little bit. And that's good. Now, wipe a little on the outside too while I'm at it. Like I say, the inside of your lids, you actually want a little bit of buildup on there where you don't usually want buildup on your skillets. Now, grab me a piece of this chicken. Trade places with him, put him over here. That's going to be enough for a couple of meals, actually. We'll get into that. Like carving a turkey on Thanksgiving. But here, I'll let you see that. That turned out really nice and juicy. You can see it's got that nice crispy, crunchy coating for the skin. Really good. Get a little bit bigger piece of meat off of there. Yeah, this is like carving a turkey, for God's sake. But that turned out really nice and juicy, sealed up good. I'll get back and eat the rest of that later. But yeah, that turned out really, really good. I am tickled with how that turned out. Need to do some blackberry picking. The blackberries are nowhere near ready around here. It's usually towards middle of July, end of July when they start coming in. Don't water bath green or yellow beans, pressure can them. Yeah, pretty much all vegetables, corn, beans, peas need to be pressure canned because you just can't. It doesn't get hot enough to really preserve them with a water bath canner. It's really the heat that does most of it. The heat and the acid level. Now, tomatoes are kind of borderline. You're best off pressure canning them because modern tomatoes have actually have a lower acid content than they used to. A lot of the tomatoes, especially homegrown ones, back in the 60s, 70s, 50s, had a much higher acid content. And they've kind of bred away from that a little bit. You know, makes them sweeter and gives them more tomato flavor, I guess, according to some. But yeah, the acid content on tomatoes has come down to where it's not quite safe. So you're best off pressure canning them. Let's see. Steam coming off. It looks real good. Yeah, they turned out good. It's nice and moist, nice and tender, even for pterodactyl breasts like that. Much easier to freeze veggies and think they taste better. Yeah, a lot of people do prefer freezing vegetables. Yellow tomatoes have less acid. Yeah, that too. You have a steaming pressure canner. Much easier than water bath, but limitations of what you can. Yeah, there's the most of the steam canners. It's basically the same thing as a water bath. It's not so much the pressure, it's the temperature. And as you raise the pressure on water, you raise the boiling point, which means you can get higher temperatures and sterilize the contents of your jars. So with a water bath, you can only get up to 212 degrees, or a steam canner, again, 212 degrees. But if you put it under pressure, you can start getting up around 240 or so. And that kills a lot more of the bacteria that you need to kill off. Usually with water bath, because it's a high acid thing that you're canning, the acid works with the heat. Hot acid, does tend to kill things a lot better than something that doesn't have that level of acid in it. But anyhow, that's my show for this week. I'm tickled with how that square chicken fryer worked out for me. It worked really nice. Got her broke in. Got the chicken fryer broke in pretty good, I think. So it should work nice for frying or anything else like that. Got the lid used a bit, so I'm real happy with that. Hopefully you guys will come back next week. I hope you enjoyed the show we did this week. Like I said, the 23rd, I will be doing is when my video for the Jam It Up June. I forgot to put it in the description, but search for Jam It Up June. You should be able to find it pretty easy. There's a whole bunch of videos from a whole bunch of creators, really nice people, really good recipes and ideas. Go ahead and check them out. And I'll see you guys next week. Hope you enjoyed the show. I'm going to enjoy my chicken. Give it a try if you usually use flour for your deep frying or things like that. Give it a try using just straight cornstarch. It really gives a different result, and it's really good. So I'll see you guys next week, and hope you enjoyed the show. Bye.